up, everybody? What's going on? So, I was asked to really share my real opinions on Apple's keynotes and what do I think about the new releases of the iPhones. So, I'm going to share that in this video. Now, granted, some people are going to find this video to be controversy and um, think that I'm hating on a product, and it's furthest from the truth. You know, let's just get down to the nitty gritty. So, things that I think about the iPhone 8, the iPhone 8 Plus. Um, well, I can say that starting off with those phones, if the rumors are true, because I've seen several posts that's talking about that the battery sizes in both phones are smaller than the 7 and 7 Plus, can only tell me that the idea behind it is the same thing that Apple is known for, which is marketing strategy. Um, One of the new features of the iPhone, and the reason why it switched over and started using a glass back along with a glass front, is for wireless charging. So they have this charging pad now called the AirPad, I think it is. And what better way to move inventory than to have your consumers who buy your products that have the constant need for charging their device. And of course, not having to always plug in a wire to your phone, meaning that you can just lazily lay your phone on the pad and charge it. I think that's probably one of the things that I sympathize for those who are wrapped up in the Apple ecosystem and use nothing but iPhones. You know, they got a really good product, right? So let's not try to BS how this all goes. They got a pretty good product. Okay, Apple's pretty good at what they used to do and what they haven't been doing. If you guys don't believe me, watch Chris Perillo's video. I mean, he pretty much goes off. But he says a lot of things in his videos that make sense, though. Coming from a person who likes Apple, or used to like them, you guys should check out his video. But anyways, it's kind of the same thing of like what they did with the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, removing the headphone jack. And why? Well, they acquired Beats Audio, and so what better way to move wireless technology than to remove anything that would connect to it by wire except for the Lightning port. Obviously, you need to charge your phone, and at that time with the iPhone 7, they didn't have wireless charging. And yes, the 8 and 8 Plus has wired charging still available, but now you can also wirelessly charge the phones using their AirPad. And the better way to sell their AirPad is shorten the battery span. Like I said, one of the things I sympathize for Apple users is the fact that sometimes they just have to buy those Mophie cases that have a built-in battery in the case to extend the battery life. Like with an iPhone, you really don't get that full day's usage if you're a power user, because you will kill the battery and have to charge it up again before the day is out. So with that being said, I think that's probably like the only thing really I can say about the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. Moving to the iPhone 10, this phone is pretty controversial, and for good reason, though. So let's kind of do away with the edge-to-edge display and all that, because every manufacturer is going to that route. LG did it with the G6, Samsung doing it with the S8 and the Note 8. Xiaomi's been doing it. Doogee, an unheard of brand, is actually doing it. So a lot of things is going towards edge to edge or near bezel-less display. I mean, one of the earliest ones was the Sharp Aquos Crystal, which wasn't a flagship phone, but was dared enough to actually do it. So with the iPhone 10, Some people are hating on that top notch, the notch that holds the camera that actually um, is, I guess, their selling point of Face ID, 3D mapping of your face for the phone to unlock. And yes, while people are making fun of the demo that failed, some things in life just don't always go the way you want it to. I mean, if you knew the secrets behind Steve Jobs' presentation of the very first iPhone, not knowing that there were actually two phones, or actually I think it's two or three phones that was up on the podium that we didn't get to see, because he would lay one down and pick up the other one, because technically the iPhone wasn't ready for prime time, so certain ones were able to do certain things. Like one was able to make phone calls, one was able to browse the web. They had a backup phone in case the other ones failed, and he played it off very well, that we didn't even know that there were multiple iPhones on that podium. We all assumed there was only one during the demo. So yeah, not everything's going to go off with a hitch, but let's just kind of go into a lot of the things that Apple said at their keynote about the iPhone 10 with the one more thing. One thing they kind of focused heavily on was the display. And you have to admit, right, it's a gorgeous display. The display on the iPhone 10 is really solid, in my opinion. But it's not Apple's. And that's something that I felt like they were kind of bobbing and weaving out of. They love to take credit for things that they really shouldn't be taking credit for. The display on the iPhone 10, if you don't know, is actually a display built by Samsung. Okay, so the fact that they're using OLED display and they're calling it their Super Retina display, and they're using verbiage that would have one believe that the display was manufactured in-house by Apple, which is what they're known to actually do. You come to find out that it's made by Samsung. So that's just one of my pet peeves about Apple that kind of like makes me frown a little bit. Just the verbiage that they use, the display. Like I said, to anyone out there who was just hanging on every word that Apple states would believe that the display was created in-house, which is furthest from the truth. The fact that it now supports wireless charging, the play on that almost feels as if they're trying to say they did it first. Then I know someone's going to jump on the comments and say they never said they did it first. And yeah. But it's all about perception, verbiage, how you say things. So like, yeah, wireless charging, waterproofing, well, not really waterproofing, but making the phone water resistant. While a lot of Android fanatics will go off and make fun of iPhones and say that they're playing catch up, which, truth be told, they are playing catch up. Several bloggers actually said something that hit home with me. And that was, in this day and age, it almost feels like that Apple waits for other manufacturers, other technology companies to take risks and make mistakes and modify their errors to then come up with something brilliant. And then Apple just swoops in and takes that and modifies it to their benefit and then puts it out there like they revolutionized the industry with this. Because that's exactly what they were kind of pitching the iPhone 10 to be. They were pitching it to be the future of smartphones, the future of mobile technology. But a lot of the things that they were bragging about, a lot of the features they were pointing out were not things done by them first. The edge-to-edge display was not done by Apple first. OLED display was not done by Apple first. Water resistance was not done by Apple first. Wireless charging was not done by Apple first. And those were highlighted features that they were boasting about the iPhone 10. That's what they were, their focal point kind of was. Face ID, yeah, I'll give it to Apple that the idea of 3D mapping the human face so that there was no error of holding a photo to the camera and tricking the device to unlock that way, that it would actually beam sensors onto your face to actually get a real realistic look, and that their Face ID was to be so accurate that the only way your phone would unlock is if you had an absolute identical twin. Now, that's a step in the right direction. Yeah, no, Android fanboys are going to throw out there about the iris scanner on the Galaxy Note 8 and S7, and even on the Note 7 when it was around. They'll toss that little tidbit in there. Face unlocking has been done before. Sure, it was not as refined as Apple's doing it, but it's been out there. It's not brand new technology to the world of mobile tech. It's not brand new. And that's where the deception comes into play. Their verbiage always makes these features out to be like something that they took a risk on, when they really didn't take a risk on it. They just watched other companies do it and then say, now it's time for us to do it, put our spin on it. Is Apple known to take something from an idea from another company and make it their own and actually refine it? Yes. I'm not going to BS anybody and lie about it. I'll tell you the truth. They have taken something before that another manufacturer has done and has done it better. But there's a difference of taking something and doing it better versus creating something. And that's where I think the thought process kind of vexes me a little bit. It's like you don't take something from somebody, refine it, and say you developed it, you innovated it. It's not how it works. But you can take something and say you did it better. And to be honest, with this whole mobile OS wars, it sounds a little bit better too if you were even to use that as your launching pad or your stepping stone to say that you took something that was already being done and refined it and made it work. Because that's like saying you took someone else's project with a massive amount of errors and you've corrected those errors and made it better. But to go and try and spin off that you innovated it, that you took the risk in it, I think that's what leaves a sour taste in people's mouths. Now, sure, the fanatics out there are going to look at the iPhone 10 and just be amazed at the edge-to-edge display, amazed at all the features they're throwing out, the augmented reality, which I got to give it up to them, is pretty cool. The animojis, the animated emojis based off your face when you're talking and you choose the panda bear, then the panda bear's head's going to pop up in 3D animation and talk as you're talking, exactly how your face is moving. Those things are cool. Okay, those things you can give it up to them and say, hey, that was bravo, that was dope. But is it a little too late? Well, not really. I think it's great that those people that are immersed in the Apple ecosystem are going to get to enjoy the same features that Android users have been able to use for the last couple of years, wireless charging. I know that the 7 and 7 Plus, I believe, were water resistant, so they've added that to their notch and are able to actually use their phones in water to a certain depth. And but yeah, wireless charging, I think it's nice that they have it. The fact that they're using an OLED display to really get those nice vibrant colors and deep blacks and saturated shades, and I think that's cool. I think it's awesome. I think it's great that they have that. Kudos to them for that. And it's going to make a lot of their consumers happy. But to say that you created it, or not say you created it because they didn't say that, but to use verbiage that would have any random person of the not knowing to understand it, that you created this rather than adopting it, is kind of crazy to go that route. I know that some people that are used to Touch ID are going to have to get used to a whole new method system of how they're going to do it with the iPhone 10, with the swipe gestures, basically being able to maneuver around I know there's some people that are completely upset with that notch, and hell, who wouldn't be? I mean, honestly, like the Essential phone pretty much has the same idea, except that they have a very small notch on the top, and that's for the front-facing camera. But other than that, you pretty much get a almost near bezel-less display with the Essential phone. Um, they say that Samsung has a bezel-less display, but it actually kind of doesn't. It is close to it, but not. That infinity displays, yeah, it's cool, the rounded sides, but it still semi sort of does kind of have. Even the LG G6 still has the top and bottom bezels, even though it's smaller. Um, I know that the Essential phone is kind of pushing more towards it with that little camera notch in the middle, and now the iPhone 10 with the more wider notch. And of course, for good reason, because of the sensors that they have in place in that notch area that is for Face ID, which, yes, we'll say it again, it failed on the demo, but maybe it'll get more refined as we're coming closer to its pre-order date and to its launch date. So for those of you guys who don't know, the launch date is actually, I believe, November 3rd. Pre-orders start on October 27th. Now, if you're only interested in the iPhone 8 or 8 Plus, that goes pre-order, I think, tomorrow, and comes out on the 22nd of September. I might be mistaken, but yeah. So, in general, what are you guys' thoughts? How do you guys feel about it? Do you guys really buy into the verbiage that Apple uses with the iPhone 10 and all the features that it has? Does it give you that sense that they're kind of sneaking it in there, like taking credit for something that they didn't create without actually saying that they were the ones to create it? I mean, where are your guys' thought processes on it? Like, are you really that blinded by every word that Apple says that what I say and what other tech reviewers say are thrown out the window or considered blasphemy unless we totally agree with Apple and say it's like the greatest phone in the world and that is the future of smartphones? I would really love to know you guys' thoughts and opinions on that. So drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. And until then, yeah, you guys heard it from me, what I really think about the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, and the iPhone 10. And until the next time, I'm Tito. Good night.